Just a reminder, as Paul said in the chat, that please feel free to put questions into the Q&A and the chat as we go along. But I'd like to invite our final speaker for this session, Lucy Dalgleish, to give her presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you so much, Chris. And thank you so much, Bo and Joe. I really enjoyed those talks. They were really interesting. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Thumbs up, good, okay. I have a slight cold, so if you hear me having to go away to have a wee cough, I'm still living, I'm just slightly off screen. Always comes when you've got to do a big chat, doesn't it? Anyway, so as previously said, my name is Lucy Dalgleish, and I did an internship with the National Library of Scotland in which I was able to compile a report. And the report's name is Environmental Scan, Artificial Intelligence, Cultural Heritage, and the National Library of Scotland. And what I'm going to do within this presentation, as the report is now compiled, is I'm just going to take you through a kind of whistle-stop tour of the report itself and its findings. So, if this will work. Oh no, hold on a second. Is that going to the next slide for anyone? Oh, there it goes, it's just taking a second. Okay, so just to talk a wee bit more about the report, it was a joint commission project between the NLS and the CDCS, which is the Centre of Data, Culture and Society. And the broad aim of the report was to work towards creating a practical approach in AI for the library to use in its day-to-day work. So that's what I was working on. And in order to achieve this, I took an interview approach to compiling this report. So instead of, as many people do when they're doing critical research, they work from a kind of software backwards point of view. As we have the software, how could it affect staff in a cultural institution? I went the other way. I interviewed staff members, got their thoughts and feelings, and then thought about artificial intelligence that could be used to fit in with the staff rather than the other way around. So the staff really formed the kind of the base and the bedrock of this report. And it was 50 members of staff I was able to interview, which is a decent chunk of the National Library. I think it's about a third of the staff. And I was able to interview people from all areas of the library as well, from visitor service, the people that would greet you in the door, to our restoration department, working with our collections, to our legal department, to our finance department, to people working actually with our library computers and in cybersecurity. So I was able to get a lot of opinions and thoughts and feelings on artificial intelligence. As to the structure of the report, and this kind of reflects the structure of this talk as well, I got the staff's thoughts and feelings towards AI, as well as getting them to come up with a definition of AI. I was very keen to see if people could differentiate between artificial intelligence and machine learning and just normal software. We talked about ongoing completed AI projects, and I was able to document all the AI projects within the library. And then with the staff, I was able to document what they saw as the opportunities and challenges of artificial intelligence and couple that together with current critical research. And then I offered some recommendations at the end of my report. So, findings. As I said, staff thoughts and feelings were really important to me going into this. And as you can see there, I've got a little words cloud. That was just to kind of visualize the words, the emotive words that came up to do with staff's thoughts and feelings towards AI. I was lucky enough that most people allowed me to record our sessions together. So from that, I was able to get all of these emotive words together. So the largest word there is excited. 74% of people said to me they were excited about AI coming to the library, optimistic 62% and skeptical 52%. I haven't seen similar work like this done before of just gauging, generally speaking, in a cultural institution, how do the staff feel about AI? Are they scared of AI? Are they super excited of AI and they have all these expectations? What I found was that not one person that I interviewed out of the 50 said they were solely excited or solely critical of AI. Everyone had a very tempered response, which I found quite interesting, honestly. There was no hardliners among the people that I interviewed. Taking a minute to go to the next slide. It will go. But yeah, I've not been able to see any similar research which has kind of documented staff thoughts or feelings towards artificial intelligence similar to this. Hold on a wee tick, I've got a technical issue. Can everyone still see me okay? Am I still doing a talk?
We can see you fine, Lucy. Yeah, it's just we're stuck on the staff feelings towards AI. It's like,
Ah, sorry, my laptop's rubbish. Just hold on a wee second, I'll fix it. You back? Okay. Okay, let's go for ongoing completed projects in AI. During my research, I was quoted some 5 to 6 projects to do with AI that the NLS thought were ongoing or completed within the institution. But upon doing research with staff members and doing the interviews, I was able to find 22 discrete projects ongoing. And the reason for this is that some of the projects were smaller than others, and some were using technology they didn't know was AI related. So 22 ongoing and discrete projects within the NLS to do with AI. And they were in pretty much every department had some kind of little kernel of AI on the go. Focusing in briefly to the maps department with Chris again, who's we mentioned many times, Chris Fleet here. His department was very keen to get in master's students and PhD students to tackle the immense collection of maps that were digitised by the library. As some people here will know, the maps collection in the library is the largest within Scotland and one of the most robust in the entire world. And so many of these being digitised. How do we handle data at that scale? One way of which has been posed to use machine learning and artificial intelligence. Focusing in on one of these projects, Elle Smith from Leeds University was able to use image recognition tech to identify trees within maps. And you can see there in that picture, there's little boxes surrounding every trees that image recognition technology has been able to identify. That has wide applications, particularly for projects such as the Scotland Ancient Woodlands Inventory Trust, which looks at the depletion of our woodland or the resurgence of our woodland in Scotland. Also the National Trust of Scotland, the National Trust itself, and the Woodland Trust. These kind of technologies, looking at maps and looking at decline and resurgence, are vital, because previously this was all hand done by some poor wee person circling wee trees on a map. So this could really help with the efficiency of looking through our maps as massive collections of data. So as I said, I interviewed a lot of people. So this is only a whistle-stop tour of our opportunities and challenges the staff at the NLS saw with regards to artificial intelligence. But I'll go through this. There was roughly 18 opportunities specific to the NLS staff wanted to focus on. That doesn't mean there's only 18 opportunities within artificial intelligence. It means that these 18 opportunities were the most relevant to the staff in the NLS. And they broadly fit within these 4 categories, which I will just zoom through quickly. So enabling discovery, access, and research. That's a very broad category, and there was lots of things that I documented within this, but enabling discovery, our library search currently works on a tagging system within the NLS. How could we use artificial intelligence to better make that library search navigable? Many of staff members said image recognition software could help us do that. Because the library search is going through so many documents, so many newspaper articles, so many books, but also images. Glass plate negatives, our moving image archive is also linked to library search. Image recognition software or HRT, handwriting technology, could really help us sift through that vast quantity of information. And access and research, talking now more of a kind of physicalized thing. You can see in that slide there a picture of a kind of, it's a bit dark, but it is of a Braille reader. In artificially intelligent or machine learning enabled smart Braille readers, they are now able to deal with our digitalized collection. You can see in that photo towards the bottom of the screen, there is writing, and towards the top of the screen, it is a smart braille reader. So there's pins within the braille reader where it will transcribe the bottom of the screen to the top into braille. If we had one of these pieces of technology on the NLS site, that could open up the collection for a whole new set of people. Social benefits. Once again, this came up quite a lot in the interviews. People saw the library as this kind of its focus on literacy, and not just literacy in general to do with reading, but also data and artificial intelligence literacy. The people I interviewed weren't just happy with the NLS having this technology. We must communicate it to people as well. And why just have it when we can sit on the kind of the forefront of the data literacy and AI literacy debate? They saw an opportunity for us to do that. Enhancing user services. Just to use one example, when talking to our social media department, currently the chat bot, which sits in the web service site, is answered by an actual person. This is quite a laborious task, especially if you're asking constant questions of, what's your opening hours? Are the scones ready in the cafe? There's big opportunity for artificial intelligence to be introduced, where that will kind of be a time-saving venture for the staff members, and creating efficiencies. That sits along the same lines, kind of enhancing user services, but there was many efficiencies that where artificial intelligence could help us with, such as managing the web archive, automating subject indexing, retro conversion, video transcription, metadata work, copyright detection, OCR and HTR. Those are all well, many of them are jobs done by individual people that artificial intelligence could really help to make quite effective for us. So those are the opportunities that were discovered. Now moving on to the challenges. The challenges do seem like less. There was 9 identified that fit under these 5 categories, but I think I spent more time talking about them with members of staff. Staff did have concerns, and many of these were ethical, as one can imagine. I think that was the thing I spent my most time talking about with staff, was the ethical implications of introducing artificial intelligence into our collections, into their daily working lives. The thing that came up the most within that headline was misuse and mishandling of data. So 38 of the 50 people interviewed specifically mentioned misuse and mishandling of data being something they were extremely concerned about. And of those 38 people, a whole 18 mentioned the company Amazon. And a few people also mentioned their £887 million fine, dollar fine, sorry, in 2021 for violating GDPR. That came up quite a lot, these discussions to do with data. And I see this as an opportunity for the NLS and other cultural institutions and libraries just to be as transparent as they can about what artificial intelligence they are using, how that data is stored, how it is handled, and what could possibly happen with that data. But that was the number one concern of staff. Effect on community also came up in a few of my interviews. The NLS has a few crowdsourced ways of dealing with its massive amount of data, such as the map collection with Chris Fleet. There's a hardcore group of fantastic people which will tag and explore our maps collection, so they're more easily found within our library search. They are vital not only to dealing with the data of the maps, but also just they're vital and valued members of the library and the people that do crowdsourcing for us. How will that affect our community if we introduce artificial intelligence to do that job instead of them? Because they get a lot out of being part of our NLS community, and we get a lot for interacting with them. Cybersecurity, I've not touched at all on any personalization that AI presents us to the user within this talk, but it is briefly touched upon in the report. Should we choose to decide to personalize anything for our users, we would have more data on them. And that could have implications for our cybersecurity as well. Our cybersecurity would have to become more robust as we had more information that could be useful to others. Managing expectations. Some people do still think that AI is a catch-all solve problem. You buy something, you install the thing, it fixes the thing. In reality, artificial intelligence can take a long time to train, to implement, takes a lot of staff hours, especially if you're working within collections, especially if the artificial intelligence you employ is not specifically made for libraries. So with any implementation of artificial intelligence, we'd have to manage those expectations and also resourcing, skill and cost. And that would still be the same in any business, in any cultural institution. These things take money and time. Do we have the money and time to properly implement our AI that we have? Now, just briefly to conclude, the report makes some recommendations, and I think these are recommendations, I mean, they're specifically for the NLS, but I think they have implications for wider cultural institutions and libraries in general. And I'll just whiz through them. So I've got 5 of them: place ethics at the heart, optimize existing AI that is already within the library. As I mentioned, we've already got 22 projects. Some of them are artificial intelligence and machine learning programs that we have made in association with people. How can we imply that? How can we properly use that technology that we have? 3, supporting staff. That should be a headline as well. 4, foster partnerships and collaborations, as with Chris Fleet in the Maps department. And 5, enable users, transparency and collections as data. So that was a lot of chat. If you would like to read the report, that was just a really quick whistle-stop tour throughout it. It is currently available. I think it's just became available in the projects part of the National Library of Scotland's website. And it is in the, I've done a big arrow for you. It's in the completed projects of 2022 section. It's just there. So that's if you wanted to read more about that, because a lot of the things I've just touched upon within this. But I think the takeaway is that there is an optimistic future for artificial intelligence being incorporated within the National Library of Scotland and cultural institutions and libraries in general, which this report highlights. Thank you very much.
That was great. Thank you very much, Lucy. And I've popped a link directly to the report in the chat there. So if anyone wants to have a look, and they can. I just to say as well, since Lucy's been with us, we have started looking at some of the recommendations and taking them forward. So I know my colleagues in digital now have a subscription for ChatGPT, and that's something that they're looking to implement. So it was a really good bit of work. Okay.